Susan Lawrence Dana was born here in Springfield in 1862, grew up to become a socialite, a philanthropist, and a political activist here in Springfield. People were certainly curious about the house. It was very different from anything else that was in Springfield at the time. Very different from things that most people had seen. This was still pretty early in Frank Lloyd Wright's career. We do know they marveled at the electric lighting inside the house. People talked about the beautiful golden light that you could see coming from the art glass transom panels in the evenings. That may have been intentional as well. She may have thought about the idea. What Susan wants to do is inspire people to think differently about the world around them. Think differently about women's rights. Think differently about how people in the community receive the services that they need. And she may have thought about this idea, a house that is so different. You come in and you see, if we could change so much about the places we live and the way we design our homes, what other things in our society might we think about changing or doing differently in this new century?
First of all, it's probably the largest collection of Wright glass in any building. Second of all, it's the most complicated designs in any building. It's the most unified in the way the chevron designs, the butterfly designs, all of these different designs are mingled throughout the space.
Rawls Malott is co-founder of Malott Morse, a Springfield-based architecture and stained glass studio. Malott led a team that conducted an exhaustive conservational restoration of nearly 550 art glass elements in the Dana Thomas House, including windows, doors, ceiling panels, and wall sconces. The effort began in 1981 and took 9 years to complete.
I've had people ask me, is this really stained glass? It doesn't look like stained glass like I would expect. And I say, it's definitely stained glass, although it's also called art glass. And the distinction between the two, if it's actually even real, stained glass generally refers to the sorts of windows you found in churches in the 14th, 15th century, and then were emulated through the years and very popular for quite some time. Art glass tend to be far less pictorial and more purely artistic or symbolic. They can do some of this work, but in art glass, a greater emphasis is used on basically being as creative as one can with the media of glass. Remember, Frank Lloyd Wright was an architect, a line drawer, and a phenomenal artist. He really had a lot of presence of mind of how to draw lines that created the look that he was looking for. And so in these windows, 3/4 of the glass is clear glass, clear plate glass. He wanted the windows to be vision, something you can see out of. He wanted the stained glass to be elements within the design that brought your attention, but gave you a little bit of comfort by the fact that you're not standing in front of this huge 6-foot by 6-foot window exposed to the public.
Iridescence, a lustrous, rainbow-like play of color caused by differential refraction of light waves that tends to change as the angle of view changes.
Stannous chloride was used in a fume portion and sprayed over glass as it came and rolled out on the assembly line from the kiln. This is a highly toxic material and was very dangerous to the employees that were doing it, and the respirator protection they had at the time was pretty much non-existent. But the iridizing causes a film to chemically form on the surface of one side of the glass that has this almost neon quality that as light reflects from it, it changes colors and moves around on the glass, which creates an interest level that's very exciting because as you walk by, the colors will actually swirl a little bit. Well, this is something that was never heard of before. It was a very brand new product at the time. The second thing that makes this glass really interesting is that when light transmitted through it, on one side it was one color, but when light bounced off of it, or reflected light, it was a different color. Frank Lloyd Wright used this very effectively. When you get the opportunity to walk through the home with your tour guide, there's a number of things you really want to look for in the stained glass. Obviously, the whole house is exciting, and it's going to be overwhelming to see what you want to look at and focus at next. But if you're really interested in the stained glass, start out by looking how many different ways Frank Lloyd Wright used a chevron pattern, or a sumac pattern or a grid pattern or the butterfly pattern, because they're used in different designs, in different places, in different locations, but they all relate to each other, and no matter where you walk through the house, you're seeing similar things presented in a new way. Second of all, look at the colors he's using, the softness and the earthiness of these colors, and how it relates to what you're seeing outside, which is, of course, the green trees and the bricks. The colors are intended not to be dramatic as much as to be in keeping and in context with the environment that you're walking through. Look at the shapes on the size and the intricacy of these windows. The more important the room, the more incredibly complex the windows are. Without a doubt, Susan Dana Lawrence's master bedroom is the most intricate panels you can possibly see. Look at the grid patterns that are included. One of the hardest things to do in stained glass is to build something where everything is perfectly perpendicular to each other and rigid as though it was machine drawn. But these were all hand built. And they were hand built many times with tweezers because the fingers were too big to make it. This is something that is so desired to visit by people from all over the world. And the enthusiasm, seeing people coming in, their jaws dropping as they look at something that they've never experienced before, and being able to come through on some of these tours quietly just to kind of see how the tourists are seeing the building and reflect on how proud I was of our staff, how proud our staff was to be involved, how excited they were to tell people, I worked on the Dana Thomas windows. But it was something that individually everybody was very proud to share with their friends and other people, to say, I had the opportunity to be involved with this incredible project that people come from all over the world to come and look at, and when they come, they're awed. What more can you say to be proud of something you've been involved with?